So joining us for the Bluetooth breakdown, we have Rylan Pangborn from Rap Scouting. Joining us for the Bluetooth breakdown, we have Rylan Pangborn from rapscouting.com. So Rylan caught our attention when he released a scouting report of AJ McCarron. He had some video breakdowns of Baker Mayfield. So we brought Ryan on to talk Baker Mayfield. Man, not a lot of people are talking Baker Mayfield. I'm a huge fan of Baker Mayfield. So let's get talking to Rylan. Rylan, man, what's going on?
Hello.
Hey, is this Rylan?
Yeah.
Hey, Rylan, what's going on? Paul and Mario. How you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
Good. Sorry to wake you up so early. I know you're in.
No,
I know college kids don't like 8:30 on a Saturday morning, so my apologies.
It's all good. I got to go to work at 9. So it's all good.
This works out perfect then. Awesome.
What does he do versus a blitz? What does he do versus a muddy pocket? Any struggles in there? So that last clip's actually kind of 2 plays, but they're both under the same principle of poise.
Yeah.
One of them being an A-gap blitz that Georgia went to early in the second half of the game, and he was like 3rd, and it would have ended up being, I want to say they rushed 6 and dropped one off the left side. So he had the back in, and then he had like a stick route on the right side that would have been open like now, and just totally missed it. Tried to scramble run, basically ran into a sack. Then they went to back later in the game, the same blitz, and they got him. He ended up throwing a pick, but it was like offside or something, so he got lucky on that one. But so I had that, and then I just have one where it wasn't even really a muddy pocket, but he would have taken a hit making the throw.
Yeah, was that the one against Tech?
You know what? Let me see quickly. I got it pulled up.
I think that might have been Tech, because he goes to throw the swing to the running back, who's It totally missed him. Wide open, totally missed him.
Yeah, and it really wasn't. First Tech. And it's really not a muddy pocket, but he sees he's going to get hit and just falls away.
So are you saying
that running back would still be running?
So you're saying if they show pressure off the blind side and then drop it and do a blitz elsewhere, either in the A gap or in front of him off the right side, he tends to have a little trouble with that?
Yeah, and it was just like in that game versus Georgia, they were showing the blitz. They weren't.
Oh, okay.
And that's something with that, like they'll put 5, 6, 7 on the 6 or 7 on the line of scrimmage, and they'll come from anywhere. And it was just like he was not having that at all. And it was a situation where the back had to step in and block the A gap. He was like, nope.
Yeah,
but the back got there.
The back did, but good grief, man! I've seen toddlers hit the wall in gym class harder than that back hit the linebacker. he gave him the block, right? But he gave him the block, but the guy shedded him pretty easily. It forced Mayfield out to the right, and it was game over. Like he's nowhere to go.
If you play that back, and if he takes a step to the left, knowing that his back is coming in at an angle, could that be per se a better block? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he kind of changes his angle. So just from an angle standpoint, it's not like ideal.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, I think you as a quarterback can speak to the fact that sometimes the pressure you see in your face is the only pressure you see, because they had it stacked out, on the one side. So you're right. Had he stepped, if he scoots to the left on that play, he's got time, because they do drop one back. So he's got a little bit more space. But from your perspective, is that something that in the first year of an NFL season you could see improvement on, regardless of the prospect? Right? Is that something you think you can see improvement on?
Yeah, and I think from that standpoint, it's more of a trust in your offensive line, a trust in the blocking scheme, a trust that the protection is going to be made. And I can't speak for him. I can't tell you if he trusts that running back in the blocking protection. but it is something that he definitely will have to improve on, or you're going to get defensive coordinators that say, oh, this guy doesn't like pressure in his face, so let's do inside stunts, let's do
twists,
blitzes through the middle, and let's just create havoc through the middle to not allow him to step up and make throws and make him work more to the right and to the left, and then just have a contained guy. You don't even have to really do a rush at that point because you'll run right into him.
Did he take any shots prior to that? Because that would sometimes skew his view of, if he took a couple of hits prior to that play, that a little bit of the trust factor would be diminished.
Georgia linebackers fly, dude.
No, yeah, but the thing is, I want to know too that if he thought that was going to happen, they were showing blitz, they were showing stuff off of his left side. Did it appear that he slid protection that way for himself? I don't know if he I can't tell through if he slid protection that way, like noticed it, said, all right, I got to rectify this, or just ran the play thinking, all right, I'm gonna use my athleticism and get out of the way if this is something happens.
Yeah, and that's also like how much does he have from Riley and being able to change?
Yeah.
Everyone changes protections, but in changing a play.
Yeah, Paul's on the edge of his seat here because you're talking about Mayfield. He's a very big fan.
Oh man, I've been
Love
it. Truth be told, for the last 2 seasons, I told Mario, I was like, man, I hope Mayfield comes out this year, and this was last year's draft. Oh man, I hope Mayfield comes out this year. He's like, what? Oh yeah, Baker Mayfield's awesome. If he comes out this year, Bills will get him in the 3rd, 4th, no problem. And then
he lights it up and throws. What, 43 touchdowns and 6 picks, and you're like, oh, this guy's not going to be a 3rd round draft.
No.
Whoops.
Yeah, I the last time I felt like this about a quarterback, and this is totally true. We've got it all on record. Was when AJ McCarron was coming out of college. I was just in love with McCarron. I said for months, I'm like, he's the best quarterback in the draft. I still haven't been proven wrong about that one, by the way. We go back and look at that draft class, still not proven wrong. But
as a young kid, I was not on that Alabama train, so I was like, don't give me that guy.
I know, I never had a problem with him liking McCarron and being really high on McCarron. It was the thing that creeped me out is when I went to his house that he had a fat head of him above his bed. It was kind of weird.
That's not a good look.
Oh, AJ, I love your tattoos.
Oh, that chest tattoo is
where
terrible.
did that come from?
That chest tattoo's awful.
Who knows?
Just awful.
Who knows?
I don't know what seedy tattoo parlor he was in Alabama. Man, thought that was a good idea. Good.
Welcome to the Tuscaloosa Inn.
So here's a quick joke for you. So I did a scouting report on AJ McCarron. I threw it up on my website, and my Facebook automatically uploads with the scouting report. So like, my grandfather looks at it. He calls me. He goes, "Hey, that scouting report's really good, but did you do a scouting report on his girlfriend?" I was like, "Oh my God!" My grandfather said that.
Cheers.
Aren't they married now?
I believe they are.
They're fine.
They are. He's got a kid.
Yeah.
One kid. He's got a little boy. And he's working the right side of the field, but just I don't know if he feels the pressure. Like there's time to make the throw, in my opinion.
Are they heavy on that side, or is it because they're in 11 personnel? So are they stacked on the right side?
They're playing, and what he works is actually really good. So they're playing cover 1 and they're blitzing 1, so they've got no free. They got 1 high safety. We got press on the outside, about 4 yards off, 5 yards off on the play side number 2, and then on who he's looking at, Mark Andrews, they're off about 10 yards. So he's got Mark Andrews on the quick.
He's got him open.
Stick route.
Yeah. When we take a look at these clips, right, what we see is Mayfield trying to make something out of nothing, essentially, or just making a wrong initial read on what kind of pressure he's facing. Because the throw against Tech, he's got pressure coming, but he's still got time. And I mean, he goes completely out of form and throws just this awful pass. Just he's closed off. He's trying to throw it to the other side of the field and just completely misses the back, screaming out of the backfield. And I see Mayfield do that a lot, right? So he's not a guy who you look at and say, oh, his mechanics on every throw are perfect. He's not Rosen. He doesn't look like a guy that gets back there and every pass looks the same. He kind of makes it up as he goes.
And that's almost like a good point, because so many plays where you look from a typical teaching standpoint and be like, you can't teach that.
Yeah. And then other plays, you're like, we got to coach that out of him.
Yep, exactly. We got to coach that up. And if you run back that play, he's got really, really bad footwork in that play too. Mm-hmm. Let alone fading away from a throw, not taking a hit. When I look at poise, there's something I want to see. I want to see you make a throw on third down. I want to see you make a throw to an open receiver, but take a shot. You know what I mean? And he was actually, his worst attribute that I graded was poise. I gave him about a 69%, and I graded 10 games of his. And then basically, just having a record, what I like to define poise as is the quarterback's ability to perform and make a play while under pressure, and then can the quarterback make a throw while staring down the barrel of a blitz, or when the pocket is collapsing in him, and then basically, are you clutch? There's a play to be made, can you make that play? Can you convert on third down? And then in simpler terms, are you poised under pressure?
So when you get to grading, right? So if you were to grade out Mayfield against the top 5, right? I know that this is kind of tough to ask, but from a poise perspective, I assume he's 4. If I just had to guess, I would assume out of the top 5, you'd probably put him 4.
Put him as a what?
Put him as the 4th poised quarterback. As far as how
this is good. This is good. Just give me a second. I got that compared down to. I got the top 4 in, just because I haven't finished Mason Rudolph, but I actually do have Luke Falk in there. Give me 2 seconds, I'll pull that up for you.
Can you believe Chris Tapazzo said that Mason Rudolph was the best quarterback in this draft?
There's some people that say stuff like that, and I just want to be like, I want to sit down and watch film with you.
Yeah, this is what a football looks like.
You pop on the tape, and he's actually watching The Replacements with Shane Falco.
Whoa! Guys, whoa! Hey! It's cool. You had enough?
But he's watching it in a mirror, so Falco's right-handed.
Damn.
All right.
Footsteps Falco. Ohio State. That is very interesting though. When you talk about that, the poise and stuff. Well,
that's the one thing that even a casual NFL fan will look at a quarterback with bad poise in the pocket and think, man, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. His hair looks like he's on fire back there. That's one that immediately expels you from the fan base as knowing what you're doing is having it's just a bad look.
Exactly, yeah. And it could be a similar it could be a situation as maybe he just doesn't like one look, or maybe he doesn't like the play call for that particular play, so he's a little bit antsy, or he doesn't recognize the defense and doesn't know where to initially start the progression when catching the snap and dropping back. So you're a little on edge, and you're exactly right. You got people that are be there and be like, what's this guy doing? He doesn't know what he's doing, and automatically becomes the worst thing in the world for the Buffalo Bills or wherever that guy ends up.
Well, the other thing too, Ryan, that I know you can attribute to this is that you make a call and your receiver runs the wrong route.
Yeah.
Where he's supposed to be, you can't throw it, and you get him getting hit. Oh, this guy sucks. He didn't even get the ball off.
Exactly, and no one knows that he missed the route, and no one's going to go out there and say publicly, my receiver didn't run the right route.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. You don't. You take it all on yourself because that's the responsibility you hold when you hold that position. But it's funny that those could be some of the scenarios where, something happens. You read something, the receiver reads something, and they're two different things, and you end up taking a negative play. So you don't know really all the things that are involved, except for. Unless you're in the fire and you can't say anything about that. It's funny.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually just pulled it up. So I got my poise grading as Josh Rosen being number 1, Darnold being number 2, Mayfield, Jackson, and that's what I had so far. So he's sitting there at number 3. And like I said, I gave him 69%. I can tell you what I gave. Rosen got a Rosen's was pretty darn good. Rosen got an 80, just under an 81.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Yeah, not even close.
That's not even close.
And then, that's just. And then Darnold wasn't even that high either. He got a 71. So they're close in that respect.
So I have to ask real quick, is that attributed to pro style versus spread? The fact that Darnold and Rosen are both in a pro style and Mayfield's in a spread? Could that be a contributing factor to the poise? Because spread's a lot more timing than I think the pro style.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. I don't think necessarily that's attributing to the fact that Mayfield's been in his offense for 4 years. He's been at Oklahoma. Rosen's been there for X amount of years running a pro-style system, and same thing with Darnold. So I don't think it's attributing because there's comfort in the system, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's a belief standpoint also in the system, or you wouldn't be at that school. So you believe you can perform in that system, or else you wouldn't be there. And I think that also relies on the coach of putting you in a position to be successful. Is a big thing just from the coaching standpoint. Like all the Bills fans say now, there were some things they did on the field that might not have put Taylor in the best situation or the offense in the best situation to be successful. And guess what? That guy's not there anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I just say it from the standpoint of a spread being more of one read and out, and yet the pro style offense is you have 2-3 reads on every play, so they have more options to keep their poise rather than if something's not there for Mayfield, he's just going to take off. And what could look like a negative play is just him. The read's not there. He doesn't have a second read.
It's something that if it's not there and you're taking off and trying to make a play, like if it's not there, I will knock you for something like that.
Right, but Mayfield's not the typical spread quarterback because Mayfield does make reads. It's not like he's just one read and out. He's not Bryce Petty, where he's making one read and that's it.
How dare you mention that name in this
Bryce
car?
Petty? Okay, Christian Hackenberg. I mean, the list goes on and on. We can keep going.
This interview is about to be one-on-one because I'm going to throw Paul out of the car in a second.
Paul's got to walk home.
So, what are some things that you think Mayfield does better than other quarterbacks in this class? To me, I look at him and I can
pull up.
Yeah.
The clip verse was it TCU?
Oh, is that?
I basically what I did in that clip is I wanted to find one throw that could absolutely just show you his accuracy in a nutshell. Just one play. I wanted to find you one play that could show you that just pinpointed, highlighted his accuracy for you guys to be able to watch. And it's a thing of beauty.
It's an interesting play because on the sideline cam, it just looks like he knifed the defender. But when you get behind the quarterback and you look, when he throws that ball, that tight end's behind the linebacker.
Yeah,
he's straight behind him.
There's not a lot of room to make that throw.
No, none at all.
And that's a freshman running that route too. And that's a great route.
But it highlights what he does well. And this kid could knock a soda can off a fence pole from 45 yards away. Like
what was it that Gable was saying about Tua Tagovailoa, or however you pronounce his name? He was saying you got some quarterbacks that can stand 20 yards away from a house and hit the side of the house, and then you got other quarterbacks that can hit the door, and then you got someone like Tua who can throw it through the keyhole. That's a guy who can throw it. That's a guy who can throw it through a keyhole. You know what I mean? Like that throw's going through the keyhole.
He's unlocking the door.
So when you look at Mayfield and you compare him against Darnold or Rosen, where does Mayfield sit?
Okay. Where do you think?
Yeah, and I personally don't think there's a more accurate quarterback in this draft, but I am
You
exceptionally
hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
He's sitting up there at number 1.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and I've got him, he's sitting at 82% accurate. If you can complete 82% of your balls, you got a long career in the NFL. And that's taken out when I look at accuracy. Like, you can make a bad ball and the receiver catch it and you're not getting it as a minus for that. Or you can make a great ball and they can drop it and you're still getting graded as a plus.
Right. Yeah,
so that's just the whole.
Yeah, because you're looking at ball placement. Yeah, you're not looking at completion percentage. And that's what I think a lot of people get caught up on. They look at completion percentage like it's a real number. That's just how good your receivers are sometimes.
No, exactly.
You know?
And it's not necessarily like the accuracy, like even if you look at 82% accurate, that's not end-all be-all anyway, but I think it's a better assessment for a quarterback's ability to throw the ball than completion percentage is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I mean, you look at completion percentage in that respect. Bradford set the record 2 years ago. He's not even with the team anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, your running backs only catch so many balls.
True.
I mean,
true
that's
story. He's Alladini and Tomlinson catching 101.
Do you remember?
That's Luke Walton in a nutshell.
All right.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
So we can close the book on fall.
That's good.
We can close that book up.
So when we talk about Mayfield, where do you think he's going to go? So if you're looking at projected fits, where does he fit? Because we were talking off air before you got on here that it's about your rookie season. You have to fit the system, right? They don't fit the system to you. You have to fit the system. Yep. I think it's a great point, right? Yep. And then as you get acclimated to the NFL and as you progress, you might get a system developed for you. That's what we saw with Russell Wilson. That's what we see with a lot of the successful quarterbacks. And what we don't see with unsuccessful quarterbacks is they keep trying to find a system to fit the guy into instead of designing a system for him. So if you're Mayfield, right, where's your ideal circumstance? What is best case scenario for you? Regardless of whether it's 1, 2, 12, 18, 25, who cares when he gets drafted? What is his best case scenario?
I think so. I'm going to use the example of Dak Prescott as an example for when I talk about Mayfield. Dak Prescott was pretty mobile in college, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in saying that, you watch Dak Prescott play his rookie season, and he wasn't running all over the field. Like, he broke it down, became a passing quarterback, and was successful in doing so. So I think that's something that you're going to see Baker do too. He's not going to be running the ball like he was running the ball at Oklahoma. They're not going to have him running, Q ISO or anything like that, like they were running up inside the tackles that they were doing in Oklahoma to get him in space. But you'll see him make plays on his feet. With his feet, but that's going to be more when something breaks down. He sees the coverage like man high or man 2, and it's got defensive backs looking the other way, and he's going to take off. So I think he could be a guy that could be successful in a more pro-style offense, and obviously he's had success in the spread. So I think you've got to be more multifaceted with him. Give him some of the things that they give you in the spread, and then give him some of the more prototypical things you'd see in the NFL, because I think he can have success with that.
Yeah, pepper him in weekly, and just kind of transition. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
and it's going to be, I think, you talk about guys that come in the league, they have to fit a system. I think there's a lot of truth to that, because those coaches are already in place. But then once you get guys who have been in the league and have proven themselves as being a good quarterback, proven themselves as being a reliable starter, and maybe that coach goes somewhere else for whatever reason, now you're getting guys who can highlight, when you're doing, as a coach or a GM, looking for my next OC, I'm looking for a guy that can now show off his talents even more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily building a system around that quarterback. It's more building or bringing someone in who can highlight his things or do things a little bit different to bring him even more success. So it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just, all right, what does this next coach like to run? And that's why you get hired.
Mm-hmm. So I want to wrap this up with one last question. It's one that every Bills fan talks about. We talk about Mayfield. Yeah, I know, right? We talk about Mayfield in the pocket, and we admit that he can make it up as he goes along. You can draw a positive and a negative comparison, right? I watch Mayfield. I see a lot of Favre. I see a lot of off-center throws. I see a lot of that, right? But you could also say the same thing about Johnny Manziel. Comparatively, all three of them have personality issues off the field that people can look into. Favre got traded out of Atlanta because he was going to drink himself out of the league. Jerry Glanville is quoted as saying that. I traded him to the only place he could go where the bars close early. So, and then you get Johnny Football, and that's the most recent example of a guy flaming out in the league. So, what is the truthful comparison, right? So, is Baker Mayfield Johnny Manziel? I'm not saying is he Brett Favre, right?
Yeah, no.
That's a complete extreme. But is he Johnny Manziel?
If I could tell you no, any more than I could tell you no, then that's what I'd go with. But flat out, not even close. And obviously these teams are going to do their background checks, but if Baker Mayfield going out partying, doing X, Y, or Z, still in college, probably not to the extent, or probably not even close to being what Johnny Manziel is. And also, the antics aren't there, like, that you saw with Johnny. Like, Johnny was doing things that were detrimental to the team on the field, as in getting all the penalties and X, Y, and Z, getting pulled out of that game against Rice for the gestures he made. You're looking at Baker, who's just been shunned out of Tech, comes into Oklahoma, wants to prove the world wrong, and isn't going to let anything stop him. And personally, I take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, something has to be said for quarterbacks, and I think it's very not many people talk about it, and it's you think about any good quarterback that's around the league, the size of the chip on their shoulder, and in relation to how good they are, and he's got a huge one.
Huge one. He's got people he wants to prove wrong, and I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, chip on the shoulder, like guys that want to compete, like he's right up there with the best of them. One of the most competitive quarterbacks probably, and they're all competitive, but it's Philip Rivers. Like, Philip Rivers will go into a weight room and try and compete with the offensive line. So, like, you got a big bone to chew on that one if you're going to do that. But I'm all for it. Like, and there's no off the field issues really with Baker that have come out like there has been off the field issues with Johnny Manziel. You know, like, he's not signing autographs or whatever Johnny Manziel was doing, where it should have been an immediate red flag, but it wasn't. And all that stuff. Like, I don't think he's got to go into an interview with these teams and answer these type of questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to, quote unquote, ace an interview to get past his quote unquote red flags. Just because I don't think they're not as serious. Like, it's just a guy that wants to go out and prove people wrong.
Yep.
Hey, Rylan, this was a blast. Let's try and do this more often. All right, man.
You got it, totally, 100%.
All right, great. Thanks again, Rylan. Have a great one.
No problem. You too. Have a good one.
Later.
Easy.